Bonjour and welcome to another one of my videos. Slightly different video because I want to talk to all my new subscribers. This channel has considerably grown in recent months simply on the back of certain videos that highlight the migrant crisis that's happening in Ireland, the change of demographics that's happening in England and London. Now, a lot of you have subscribed to the channel not for travel reasons but for political reasons. But here I am in Versailles, west of Paris, beautiful Versailles. Many people queuing to get into Louis XIV's palace. I'm just going to cross the road here, pedestrian crossing, before we get cut off. I'm going to walk into Versailles. This is a place I have lots of fond memories of. It's a place I love visiting again and again. It's quite a magical place. If you get a chance to visit Versailles, there's more to Versailles than the magnificent 17th century old hunting lodge that was eventually turned into a palace for Louis XIV. To basically show his decadence, and it would be the last place that Marie Antoinette would have been a free lady before she was taken into Paris before being beheaded. Now, more importantly, I'd like to just sort of highlight a few things that aren't Versailles related. This is not a Versailles video, although you will get the beautiful backdrops of Versailles, and maybe we might point out a couple of things as we're talking. A lot has happened since my last uploads in terms of in England, we have a new government. Okay, I have uploaded since we have a new government. We knew it was going to happen. We knew that Labour were going to come to power. We have enough people that think Labour means change. But what really happened was everyone that voted Labour before voted for them again. Keir Starmer got actually less votes than Jeremy Corbyn, but he still got elected. What really happened was the electorate basically deserted the corrupt Conservative Party, because Conservative Party, like I've said on many of my videos, are conservative in name only. They are certainly no longer conservative. The Conservatives for the last 14 years when they were in power were pushing neo-progressive values. They were the party that introduced gay marriage, for example. They were the party that allowed more mass migration into the country than any government that came before them. Even though Tony Blair, with his new Labour government, opened the floodgates by basically saying, we're going to punish the Conservatives by opening the floodgates.
Somebody called Andrew Nether.
Andrew Nether,
Now,
yes.
he was a speechwriter for Tony Blair when the government introduced a points-based system, was to open up the UK to mass immigration. That from a man who had been at the heart of government. He was there. He and his mates have made a fantastic difference to our society by means of a conspiracy. But the earlier drafts I saw also included a driving political purpose, that mass immigration was the way that the government was going to make the UK truly multicultural. I remember coming away from some discussions with the clear sense that the policy was intended, even if it wasn't its main purpose, to rub the right's nose in diversity and render their arguments out of date. That seemed to me to be a manoeuvre too far. At least he said that. Ministers were very nervous about the whole thing, for despite Barbara Roach's keenness to make her big speech and to be up front, there was a reluctance elsewhere in government to discuss what increased immigration would mean, above all, wait for it, above all for Labour's core white working class vote.
Yes.
Indeed so.
Yes.
The results were dramatic. In 1995, 55,000 foreigners, a few years later, trebled.
It was actually the Conservatives that carried out that continued progressing, because at the end of the day, nothing has changed since Tony Blair lost his seat. All that's changed is new figureheads representing Blairism. Blairism hasn't left us. I'd like to think, as what they call populism, effectively people that the masses who disagree against the New World Order slowly come to power, things might change. Could this be the end of Blairism the next 5 years? I would hope so, but sadly not enough people have woken up. I don't know how many people need mass migration to change the countries like they've never seen before, but everywhere is changing due to the mass migration of people, the movement of people. And what does that mean for the people? Well, it's great for corporations. It's great for the fact that the corporations have access to cheap labour, much to the detriment of the individual. For example, the GDP in England has risen over the last 25 years at a fairly consistent trend upwards. Is that going the right way? Whichever way you want it to go. But the trend is upwards, and it has been going doing that for the last 25 years. However, what people fail to realize is the GDP per capita has barely moved. The standard of living in the UK, Northern Ireland, England, Wales, Scotland, has barely moved at all. If anything, due to the cost of goods, living has become extremely expensive for the average Brit. And that is also mirrored throughout Western Europe. The standard of living has dropped. House prices have continued to get higher. More and more people competing for less and less houses. But the solution isn't to build more houses. The solution is to stop, to just close the gates. Just to say enough is enough. We don't need something like 2 million people entering a year. It just doesn't need to happen. What needs to happen, for example, last year in the UK it was 750,000 net migration. What that basically means is 2.5 million people enter, 1.75 leave. 1.75, and you've got to realize it's not all foreigners entering the country. That is native Brits
leaving the country.
The demographics of England right now, and I'm focusing on London as a Londoner, even though I'm walking for Versailles, shows less than 38%. And let me move to this crossing here. Less than 38% of London is white British. Now, that basically makes white British a minority in their own city. Anyone arguing, oh, well, that still makes them the largest minority. Well, to be a minority, if you're under 50% of the pie, you are a minority. So effectively, think about it from a pie perspective. I've had a lot of comments on this sort of past video where I mentioned that the white British were a minority in London. They go, oh, you're still the majority. There's still more of you than there are, for example, Chinese, or more of you than Australians. You are a minority. If you have a pie, and you have 38% of the pie, you're outnumbered by the rest of the pie. That's how it works. I don't know how difficult that is to understand for many people, but for some reason it is a little bit difficult. And it's also, why should that happen? Would you feel Japan was Japanese if suddenly there were 38% Japanese? It wouldn't happen. We're just going to cross. Here we go, we can cross. We can cross finally. But what's happening in England? If you speak out against this, and maybe I'm suddenly going to be a target. I've been thinking for a very long time I'm a target from the Bolshevik neo-Marxist government that is currently running the United Kingdom. Keir Starmer, that's what we call him, or two-tier Keir. Two-tier policing is a real thing. If you're not sure what two-tier policing is, check out my video on the march through London, where clearly they're being treated very differently to the people that turned up on Remembrance Day and the people that turned up for the Tommy Robinson freedom marches and the freedom protests. And do you remember how we were treated when I was basically voicing my discontent about lockdowns? Completely two-tier policing. It's gently, softly when it comes to certain groups, but it is completely different when it comes to the native Brits. And if you voice your discontent, for example, those that say, I don't want to be paying taxes for people that have just arrived into the country, well, people are now being locked up for this. And they are publicly showing this to the masses. It's almost like if you speak out against this, you will be locked up by Keir Starmer's corrupt judicial system. And it is a corrupt system. Anyone that has gone up against the High Court will know the legal system in the United Kingdom is corrupt. People probably used to look upon it with envy, going, oh, it's the basis of law and order. No, it's corrupt. There's nothing savoury about the British legal system. The judges are corrupt, most of them are bought and paid for. The police are corrupt, they're all bought and paid for. Or if they're not bought and paid for, they're indoctrinated into the progressive ideologies that basically cause a two-tier policing system. But this is the world we live in. We're now threatened and being put in prison for saucy memes. You post a meme being critical of the government. That's another thing that someone got locked up for. Someone got locked up for anti-establishment views. Well, I'm very anti-establishment because this establishment is corrupt to the core. So does that mean they're going to come and lock me up? Are the police going to bulldoze, knock down my door because I think they're corrupt? I think they are inept, and I think they're working against the British people. A country is there to protect the people. If you have no borders, you have no country. And at the moment, the United Kingdom isn't a country. Well, England isn't a country. And the United Kingdom isn't the nation because it's not being protected by its corrupt border force, its corrupt government, the corrupt police force. Look at this, I'm here in this beautiful market. This is Versailles market. I want to just show you, maybe calm myself down, stop myself ranting. Just show you this beautiful market. I know I've shown you before this market, but look at this. Look at, we got roast poulet. So look at this. Beautiful. You want some roast chicken, roast chips. 10 euros for a poulet. Not cheap, but it is very juicy. Very beautiful. Okay. Look at this. We've got some meats. The only thing that calms me when I see at least independent businesses thriving in this part of France. Independent businesses at least are encouraged in France, not so in England. They're basically strangled, and all we have are oligopolies in England. The days of markets are few and far between when it comes to England, but I love the fact that the streets being closed off. A few cars coming in. There's, I think, policemen over there stopping all the traffic. Look at this fruit and veg. Wonderful fruit and veg. This is a very typical market that you see in many towns around France, and this is one thing I love about France. You've probably seen my videos on southern French towns, which shows the markets where I'm not ranting, and this is similar to one of those markets. Very, really, really beautiful market. Just want to give you a pan. Look, this is the sort of main area. You can see this. Actually, it's not as busy today. Last time I was here, there was all a market here. Where there was markets over here. It's not as busy, but at the same time, can't really go wrong. Look at this. Look at this for the coffee stall. How much are we paying for this coffee here? $2.20 for an espresso. $2.20 a doppio, macchiato, americano, $2.70 flat white. Flat white's expensive. Yeah, I might get an espresso there, but not flat white. $4.50 even by London standards is expensive. I think it's because they don't normally serve flat whites in France. The French do everything really well when it comes to wine, when it comes to food. Coffee, questionable. You have to go to a hipster place to get really good coffee in France. But let me just show you some of this amazing fruit over here. See this? So I'm blocking your route. Blocking the cyclist. Hello. Bonjour.
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 YouTuber?
Oui.
Oh yes, of course. What's the YouTuber?
You're also a YouTuber, yeah?
YouTuber Turkish Airlines.
Turkish Airlines.
Turkish Airlines.
But that's a plane company now.
Oui, en avion.
Ah.
Allez.
Allez, okay. Au revoir, monsieur.
Au revoir, merci.
Au revoir. I don't know what he's saying. He was a YouTuber known as Turkish Airlines. The only YouTube channel I know is Turkish Airlines. It's the official YouTube channel, Turkish Airlines. Good airline, by the way. A very good airline. You get the pleasure of flying with them long haul. They're usually pretty good. They're pretty consistent. They're pretty decent. Look at this fresh fruit. Look at this. It's amazing. Amazing fresh fruit. You notice how this form of travel actually calms me down. It stops me thinking about the tyranny that is going on in the United Kingdom. We're getting to the point now where maybe there are going to be people having to claim political asylum in countries such as Hungary or Poland, or maybe countries that actually allow free speech, because the United Kingdom doesn't have free speech. There was something like 5,000 people arrested for posting things online last year in the United Kingdom. Put that in perspective, it was something like 400 in Russia. 400 in Russia. In the last 6 months, I think that figure has completely shot up. We're having people who have been put away for 24 months for being critical of the government. Now here's the thing, when they're allowing rapists and murderers and criminals out, this is another thing that Keir Starmer's government did when he came to power. As soon as he came to power, the guy basically decided he'd cut all prison time by 40%. For example, if you're in there for 10 years, suddenly your sentence was reduced by 4 years, which basically means that many prisoners have suddenly been let out. They've been let out so they can basically put their political opponents into prison. Political opponents that basically criticize their neo-communist outlook on life. Well, you know what I mean. These people are atrocious. I know some of you did appreciate the videos I shot in Ireland. The video I shot in Ireland basically highlighting how the corrupt Irish government are basically abusing the money that the taxpayers pay to them. Now, most of the money that comes into Ireland comes from big companies such as Google, Facebook, Intel, big tech companies paying the Irish government a lot of money. So it's a recent phenomenon in the last 10 years. The Irish government have a lot of money, and they have a serious lot of money. But for some reason, because certain NWO agents are in charge in the Irish government, they seem to think, let's completely change the demographics of this country, and let's put the people that have crossed the Northern Irish border into Ireland, which many of them come through via Belfast, then into Ireland. They're putting those people first. As we've seen in some of my videos of a South African, for example, country not at war, he'd obviously flown in, possibly into England, then headed to Belfast, and within 2 days, he was given accommodation by the IPO. Now, migrants have been put all over the country of Ireland in migrant centres. In some towns, populations of less than 1,000 are doubling in a matter of weeks as soon as all these new individuals are put it. Changing demographics, most of them are fighting age men. Fighting age men, how do you think that's going to go down with the young Irish girls? Are they able to walk safely at night? No, rapes are going up through the roof. Oh, that reminds me, another thing that England can take much pride in, or the United Kingdom can take pride in. We just overtook Sweden in its statistics. The United Kingdom became the rape capital of Europe as of last year. Now, what could have caused that? Now, obviously, if anyone's been paying attention, they would see that there's been a certain trend over the last 20 years, and you can see as rapes continue to increase in the United Kingdom, rapes, violent crime, criminality keeps increasing. It is all a matter of time, because Tony Blair's plan was to implement digital IDs and IDs for everyone. You create the problem, you provide the solution. Now, there's going to be a lot of people in the population calling out that all these undocumented migrants should have digital ID. Well, do you think it's just going to be them having digital ID? It will be you and I and anyone else. And then, when lockdowns happen again, they will be able to shut you down. They will be able to know where you go. They will stop your spending. They might stop me being able to spend money on air travel. They might be able to stop people spending money on train travel. You name it, it's going to cause problems. But I have to say, I have to pause from the rant again, because look in here. Look at this beautiful indoor market. This is fantastic. We've got some real fresh meat. We've got cheeses.
Maybe like one of the trigger.
Lost sight of myself there. Problem with this camera is it's an action camera. It follows you around, so you have to keep track of all these things. Look at this. This is schnapps. What is this? This is amazing. This is it's saying strawberry nectar, minimum 40%. Wow. All very tasty. Very tasty. Every time I come to France, I'm always surprised by just how beautiful the presentation is. Look, this is jam, or what you call in the States jelly. But look how beautiful their jam is. Just to pick up one of these. This is four red fruits. 4 red fruits. Amazingly beautiful. Really, really beautiful. This is culture. This is heritage, and Europe is throwing it all away by basically changing itself dramatically too quickly. Macron is doing exactly the same. It's the reason he was almost voted out, apart from the coalition that came from the communists, kept him in power. Look at this for amazing quiche down here. This is beautiful quiche. The French are very fond of their quiche. That is amazing. You know what? Is that 30? It can't be 31. How much is quiche? I don't know how much it is, but look at this. Prawns, yes, potato balls, spinach, cannelloni, is that cannelloni? Wow, meatballs, really, really tasty. You know what, I might have this for lunch when I stop ranting. Here we got some paella. See the paella just down here. Beautiful paella. And if you want some wine to wash it down with, you can have some decent beer. I'll tell you one thing, beer prices have gone up dramatically. I was in a place last night where it was €8 a beer. At least this is $4.80, but this is, you'd expect it to be. It's really, buy some flowers for your loved one. I know, you're not your typical travel video, eh? Not your typical travel video. A chat that rants the loss of heritage, the loss of culture to European nations. But thank God, at least in some parts of France, it feels very, very much French. There are obviously some parts of Paris and some parts of Marseille and other parts of Lyon, for example, which no longer feel French. But this, very much French. Beautiful. Beautiful fresh fish. Look at this. Really, really beautiful. Amazing. Portuguese influence. Custard tarts. Look at this. Oh, see this? This I don't mind. We've got Arabic influence here. Baklava. We've got the nuts. We've got the cheeses. Beautiful. The meats. Really, really nice. And there we go. Bonjour, monsieur. Yes. Really, really nice. It's beautiful. So it's like we have the meats, and it's just fantastic. So, look at this. This is cassoulet down here. Beautiful cassoulet. Confit de canard. Wow, really, really nice. And there's saucisse. Beautiful saucisse. Amazing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go walk over here, try not to get run over, and let the bus pass. Walk. Oh. Almost got run over by cyclists. Seems like we've got a very tight system. It's really, really beautiful around here. From Japan to Peru, we got sushi with Peruvian influence, a little bit of a take like sushi samba, specialities lyonnaise, influenced by we've got curry restaurants. So we have a real mix here, but it's a delicate mix. Poke bar, there's a poke restaurants in England these days, and a bio burger, whatever that means, €10 for. This seems to be something that's very common these days. Every burger seems to be a smash burger lately. Have you noticed that? That's the hit piece when it comes to burgers. Look at this. This is a typical French cafes, a place that specialises in chicken, but also a place you can just sit out and have a coffee, a beer, sushi shop, delivery. It's amazing. Anyway, that was my quick rant. Gone on for far too long. If you like this content, and hopefully you do, click that like button, click that subscribe button. And honestly, I really, really appreciate all the new people that have joined the channel. Right at this moment in time, there's 41,500 of you. So whatever that number is now, that's how much it's increased by, or decreased, who knows. There may have been some unsubscribes, but I hope I can keep providing content for you. There's much more interesting content to come. Until next time, enjoy the travels and keep progressing. Not like a progressive liberal, but keep progressing as a human being. Until next time, au revoir.